Welcome. I thought I would do a little episode here on the incubators. Now, some people have been asking about our new incubator that we just purchased last fall. We've scaled up from a small styrofoam type that you've probably seen on many websites and YouTube videos. So we decided to scale up to this one. Our problem with the styrofoam one was that we had problems maintaining our temperature and our humidity. Now, if you're familiar with this type of incubator, you'll know that there are water channels that run along the bottom of the incubator, and you actually fill those with water, and depending on how many you fill depends on how high your humidity levels are. Then you have a small heater controller on the top to control your heat, and you maintain it that way. The problem is when you need to add water, you've got to open it up and you've got to put water in, and then you lose a lot of that heat. So you've got your heat and your humidity up and down, and that can be detrimental to your egg hatching. Now, this unit here, we found we were looking for something that maintained the humidity as well as the temperature, and there's not a lot of them we found out there on the market. This one here is nice because it has a separate holding tank for the water, and the humidity is not controlled by surface area, but it's controlled by the temperature. So as the humidity goes out of range and it needs a little bit more humidity, it turns on that heater and heats up the water a little bit more just to get that extra humidity. So what I'll do is I'll open this up quickly. We don't want to let too much heat out. We only started this yesterday. It's fairly early. But just to give you a quick look, we have 3 trays in here. We have the water reservoir with heater. We have the heater element and the large fan. And in the back there's an exhaust fan. These racks, they tilt back and forth. You can set it within the controls here. You can set it, we've got it set for 1 hour rotations. That's pretty much standard. It's easy to remember. But you can set it to 55 minutes, you can set it to 1 hour and a half, whatever you like. So currently it'll rock back and forth. It'll go once. It takes probably about 20 or 30 seconds to get to that position, and then the next hour it'll rotate back again. And all those parameters are set up in here. I can actually tell it to tilt in 5 seconds to do its full tilt, or 1.5 minutes or 3 minutes to do a tilt. I haven't played around with it too much, but I could probably tell it to take a half an hour to do the tilt, and then it would almost be continuously rotating. So we've found that the hatch rate on this, we've done a couple hatches, we found that we're actually getting a nice hatch rate. Currently in here we've got a few different ones. We've got some peacock, we've got some Pekin duck, pilgrim geese, Rhode Island red, black Australorp, and some bantam eggs. So we've got all those in here. Now, some of them take a little bit different time than others, and what we've managed to do is on the bottom we have an open section just on right on the bottom of the unit. When our chicken eggs are done, which is on the bottom row, we will check out our calendar, make sure when we need to pull them for the final 3 days. We'll pull that rack out and we'll actually just slide it in right on the bottom. So it then won't be rotating anymore. These eggs will still be running, still good. Humidity levels we've maintained at 60% humidity. Now they say you can go 45% to 50% and 50% to 60%, you know, for duck eggs. They require a little bit more moisture. But we've found our hatch rate has gotten better, keeping it at a steady 60% humidity. Now, you know, you can talk to different people, and some people will say, no, it's better this way, better that way. With this unit, and what we've experienced, and it's easier that way. So it's not only getting a higher hatch rate, but we can run different types of eggs in here. We can do ducks and Muscovy ducks, which are longer. They're 35 days. Some of the geese eggs are 35 days. Chicken eggs are less. So we can actually run it with everything in there, and then we can just rotate them through. We can add more eggs to this as the other one are hatching, as the ducks and the geese are hatching. We can add some more. So we can kind of run it through very nicely. Okay, so a few of the features that are on here, something that we didn't expect was there's actually a sterilizing UV bulb. So I did some checking up on that. There is a UV bulb in the inside here that runs across the top for sterilization afterwards. So of course what you want to do is you want to get rid of all the material in there, the unwanted. You want to do your basic cleaning first to clean it all up with your soap and water, make sure it's good. And then you turn on that sterilizing bulb. I've done some research and checked on some different forums and checked on some documentation, and it seems 15 to 20 minutes is adequate for sterilizing a surface. Now, this has got forced air running through, so this UV light will, because it can't actually see the different surfaces underneath the trays and everything, because the air is moving, that sterilizing will actually move around and encompass the whole cabinet. So that's kind of nice. That was kind of an added bonus. One issue that we did have with it, running at the 60% humidity, we had our glass starting to fog up. Now this unit here is a made-in-China unit that's been refabricated in the US and then resold, converting it over to the 120 from the 240 and adjusting the control panel to a English control panel, replacing it. So we found, you know, a few things, but we just got this going, and just the other day I decided to pull all this apart and seal it all up using silicone versus a glue. There was actually a really hard glue that had it mounted in there, and there was spacing where moisture could get in. So, and if we want in the future, which is something that has been brought up, is to have a little larger window. You have kids that come over, you know, they love to see the animals, and of course if you have more than one kid, they're going to fight over this little window. So I thought about possibly ordering a window that's about twice the size of this, completely sealed, epoxy sealed, with maybe an argon gas filled inside, and mounting that in there so we have a nice large window. So that's pretty much about it. I think I've covered everything on here. It's a beautiful little unit. We're happy with it so far. If you have any questions about this, please put them in the comments and I'll try to answer whatever I can. And well, let's go have a look at our little ones, shall we? Okay, so here we are. These are the last chicks that came out. They're a barnyard mix, so they're not a purebred, but they came out of different colored eggs. So you've got your greens and your blues and your browns. So it's a neat little barnyard mix, and we've found a lot of people are looking for these kinds of chicks just to have a little bit of variety in their eggs. And they're all very cute. These guys are, they're probably about 3 days old, I guess, 3 or 4 days old, in around there. So then we move on to the next generation, I guess you could say. These guys are probably about a week old, and as I mentioned, we've been rotating them out. So these ones were only a week difference. These guys are a week old. These golden laced are actually, they're a few weeks old now, and they're a neat bird. So these are those guys. They're cuddling underneath the heat lamp, keeping warm, or they're probably just scared of me. So then we move on to these monsters here. Yes, these guys, well, Pekin ducks, and we have a black cayuga. I think I'm saying that right. Black cayuga duck, which you're a little orphan. Came to us as an orphan, so this will be interesting to get the and apparently mating the two of them, crossing them over, is kind of neat. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how that works out. So these guys here, water, they're crazy about water. Okay, just calm down so I can pour it in. Oh, there you go. And then they just calm right down. Oh, sorry. Okay, so there we go. Nice and quiet. It's like giving a bottle to a baby. And then, of course, as soon as they finish that, they'll be chirping up a storm again. They want more, so you've got to kind of ration it off. So those are those guys. And then, well, since I'm here, I might as well show you the batch of bunnies. Oh, yes. Just a cutie, eh? So these guys are, oh, they're a couple weeks old, I guess. They're well, probably almost 3 weeks old. So there's 4 of those. This is Mama. And then one from the last batch, this little guy here. So these are Netherland dwarfs. This little guy is a Netherland dwarf. Actually, these guys here are a Netherland dwarf Rex cross. So they turned out really neat. So they've got the Netherland dwarf ears, the little tiny ears, and they've got the Rex fur, the very plush fur from the Rex. So it's a mini Rex. And then, of course, our chinchillas, which are nocturnal, and they're tucked in this container, sleeping. All 4 of them: Mom, Dad, and the babies. So, yeah. Okay, so the incubator. What I'll do is I'll give you a quick little show inside, just so you can kind of get an idea of the whole thing. Open this up one more time. You can see the goose eggs up top, the bantam eggs down in here, some more goose eggs. These are pilgrim, and these are other goose. Up in here are peacock eggs. They're kind of, well, right these larger ones right here. There's 7 of them. These are pekin eggs along here. And down here are our chicken, our Rhode Island Reds, and then our other chicken eggs in here. So you can see the heater container here with the float valve, fan, heater, and exhaust fan up top. And there is the UV sterilizing lamp that if you turn on, you can see comes on. And I better close it because now my alarm's going off. Okay, I get it. Okay, there we go. Solved. So here you can see my temperature's dropped because I had the door open. Humidity dropped down. It's giving me that critical alarm. It actually comes back up fairly quickly. You can see it rising fairly quickly there. This hatching days, I haven't quite figured out how to reset that. So the first time we turned it on to run it was 78 days ago. During this hatch here, 25 times. So 1 day, 1 hour. So I think that's pretty much about that. So what you can do is with that reservoir that's in the back, what we've done is I've taken a line that comes out, and of course it's in the float valve in there, and then there's a line that comes up, and I've taken an old camping container, you know, that you get your beverages out of when you're camping, and this poly pipe fitting actually is the same threads as this little valve guy here. So that worked out well. So I put that in. Pushed these on. It didn't need any clamps because it's a gravity fed, and we have put in kind of a minimum maximum. This is kind of what we're using in a 24-hour period. Now also, I didn't want to use hard water, so this is soft water. We ran into the problem of getting the hard water from out here. So since we cleaned it out, we're getting this jug from the house, which is a soft water, and we're not getting all that scaling happening. So this is an excellent way to do it. I just put a hole in the top, and you pop that funnel right in there, and you're good to go. It's all gravity fed. So that's the system. Okay, so that's about it. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. One last thing that I just thought of was I didn't think of it because I shut it off. I have a dehumidifier in this room. Now when you're dealing with this amount of humidity, whatever you put in, you're going to get out in humidity. So we actually dump that container regularly, once in the morning, once maybe in the afternoon, and then in the evening for overnight. Now, when it comes summer, we'll be able to open some windows and have a breeze come through here. But of course, if you're doing any heavy kind of incubating, or if you have these little ducks that are water crazy, you might want to think about having a humidifier handy if you're not going to have an open breeze going through. So that's it. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will try to get back to you. I'm trying to monitor those comments and answer any questions, or possibly do a video on a specific topic. The next video that I have planned is for the trimming of goat hoofs. So I thought that might be a good idea when we got started. You know, do you get a farrier to come out to do it, or what do you do there? So it's very simple to do, and we'll walk through that. It's cold outside. It's currently below 0, and in 2 days, the weather network says that we're going above 0 Celsius in Canada, above freezing, for good. You know, it's like, wow, but I'll believe it when I see it, of course. So anyway, like, share, and please comment below, and happy hatching.